You're listening to Cosmic Cousins Soul-Centered Astrology. For grounding your ass from all the new age sass. I am your host, Jeff Hinshaw. Season 6 of Cosmic Cousins is a bi-monthly astrology offering released every new and full moon. And it's dedicated to honoring the interconnectedness of our universal family through embodied health, self-discovery, and deeper learning. Well, here we are, Cosmic Cousins. We are right in the eclipse season. The portal is open, and what an honor it is to be here with you all. This episode is intended to guide you and support you during this very energetically potent time. So wherever you are, allow yourself to just take a moment of pause, to be in stillness and to ground your energy, to take deep breaths, to really come home to yourself, because we have some major opportunities to upgrade at this time. Eclipses are a vortex of energy that is supercharged. If you're listening to this episode live in July of 2019, to be sure you'll be feeling this. If you're listening to this episode at another date and time, this is also going to be a beneficial episode to you, because this episode is offering information about the spiritual upgrade that we are all receiving as we continue to give birth to the age of Aquarius. So Tuesday, July 2nd, 2019 is a new moon solar eclipse. Eclipses act like a super new moon. So this is like the new moon of new moons. It happens twice a year. So we're starting off a 6-month cycle. So Cancer eclipse, let's start there. So Cancer, right? Cancer is ushering us into a very watery, sensitive, and emotional realm. So this is connecting us to the ancient crab, which is one of the longest living creatures on our planet. And so we are here to honor the evolution of all species on this planet at this time. And when we gather in this way to honor Cancer, even if it's through a podcast episode, there's a moment of reverence to bow towards your grandmother, your great-grandmother, your great-great-grandmother, all of your grandparents, all the people that have been on this planet before us. And so I have this beautiful photo on my altar that is of my grandmother. She is a toddler, and she's sitting on the lap of her grandparents. So these are my great-great-grandparents. And on the back, handwritten, this was gifted to me by my uncle, who, by the way, is a Cancer. My uncle, during Capricorn season, during the holidays, Capricorn's a polar sign to Cancer, gifted me all of these old photos. And he had a story for each one, and he hand wrote on the back of them. And even as he was telling me about them, he was crying, just like soft tears, not like, a lot, like really sobbing, but it was just like a sentimental nostalgia, which I'm sure many of you who are Cancer, or all of us during Cancer season, are feeling that. I have lots of Cancers in my family. Both of my grandparents on my mom's side, my aunt and my uncle are both Cancers. So anyway, on the back of this photo, it says your great-great-grandparents, Thomas Carmy Fox and Mary Sizemore Fox, and your grandmother, Claire Reese. Fox is an important name. I went by Fox for a while. It's still one of my dear spiritual names that people still call me today to honor my ancestors. But anyway, so having this photo out is helping me feel into Cancer. So get out old photographs, especially of your grandparents when they were kids. This energy of Cancer is not only honoring our ancestors, but it's also honoring the moon, the mysterious cycles of the moon. And so this is quite an auspicious eclipse, because Cancer's ruling planet is the moon. And so to have this new moon eclipse in Cancer makes it even more heightened. One of the cards for Cancer that we can use is the High Priestess. The High Priestess represents the moon in the tarot. So the High Priestess is the keeper of hidden truths. And she holds in her lap the scroll of knowledge, which we could think of as the Akashic Records. And so in it, it contains the DNA of all of past lives, also all of future lives. And so the High Priestess connects us to the deeply psychic and mystical side of Cancer. The High Priestess reminds us to treat our bodies as temples. She's a symbol of purity and fertility. And this is all connecting us to Cancer. So this eclipse comes as a big wake-up call for realigning us with our High Priestess, with our intuition. So this is a softening of ambition. This is reminding us to realign with the rhythm of nature, with the rhythm of Mother Earth, and with the moon. So take that in. And even though there's a lot of stuff happening out in the world, you may even hear sirens are going off, which in Los Angeles, it's not as common for sirens to go by at my house because I'm, a little bit removed from a main road. But it's reminding me that at this time, there's so much noise happening in the world around us. And this eclipse season is, with the retrograde, Mercury retrograde coming up, is really reminding us to take a soft pause and to come home to ourselves. That's what I keep hearing. And I know for me in my own life, well, for one, what I'm realizing is that eclipse season for astrologers is like the same in like New York City Fashion Week, how fashion designers might feel. It's like a very busy time of the year for me. And I remember hearing Ann Ortley say that on her podcast, that eclipse season was always a busy time of year for her. But it actually, it's happening for me. I've booked more clients this week than I ever have. But not only that, not even just these physical representations of being busy. As an astrologer, I'm also receiving a lot of downloads, continual inundation of information. And it's not just about this Cancer eclipse, but it's also about what is to come astrologically for humanity. And so the more that I'm in this work as an astrologer, the more I am opening myself up to receiving information, right? And so because it becomes my everyday. And so in some ways I am feeling into these rhythms of the cosmos and getting really intimate with them so that I can then share it with you all so that you don't have to. And with that, what I am realizing is that I have to take care of myself. I have to go to yoga at least once a day. I have to be more gentle with myself. I have to feed myself well, give myself time to be in nature, give myself time to rest, all of this. And so if I'm not doing that, I'm overworking myself. And so already we're feeling into this Cancer Capricorn polarity. Cancer North Node is here to remind us to take care of ourselves, to come home to ourselves, to be our own mothers. And so wherever you are, whatever Cancer feelings are coming up for you, maybe it's around home, maybe it's around family, maybe it's around motherhood, can you hold space for the emotions and mother them? Capricorn is about bigger systems. It can be connected to government, to career. And both of these signs support one another as they're moving us forward and honoring tradition and values. But right now, we're being asked to really let go of Capricorn. It's a South Node in Capricorn, of patriarchal constructs, and to trust our intuition more deeply. And so one way this can look is less living by the 9 to 5 Monday through Friday routine, and more about living within the rhythm of the moon. So this is a time to set those intentions of how are you deprogramming yourself. This eclipse offers us an opportunity to really clear out generations of gunk that have been built up from patriarchal conditioning. So Pluto and Saturn are in Capricorn. This is deep psychological healing around all of this, while we're also learning to recommit to this Saturn. Deep psychological healing, Pluto, learning to recommit, Saturn. And with the North Node and Sun in Cancer, that is in opposition to all of this. In other words, how can we better nurture and cradle our relationship to our own sense of home? Whether that's home within yourself, home as in the planet Earth, the actual home that you live in. So for some of us, it might actually be coming home to ourselves and finding the practices that allow that. I know for me, I'm definitely coming home to myself through yoga and meditation. It feels like a warm hug to be getting deeper into this practice. It supports me so much and the work that I do. And so there's something for me that right now what I'm realizing is that I need to make self-care more of a priority. And so a lot of you might be feeling into that right now too. The thing is as we are moving into this age of Aquarius, this Cancer eclipse is really reminding us the importance of the responsibility to take care of ourselves and also the responsibility to take care of future generations. And so this acts as a coming home to the self. This allows us to not only mother ourselves, but also be mothers for other people. So this is a time where we might be confronting overdoing it, over pushing it, over caretaking. And so that happened for me last week. I committed to taking on too much caretaking for someone's animals. And so I've been working on writing this book, and eclipse season is coming, so I'm feeling like I can't really work in the normal 9 to 5, Monday through Friday kind of routine at this time. Like I'm definitely feeling more Cancerian. And so all of this kind of backfired. So the cats needed a lot of attention, and they were waking me up in the middle of the night, and one night I only got 3 hours of sleep. So whether you are overcommitting yourself to work, hello Capricorn polarity, or overcommitting yourself to a lover or to a friend or whatever it is, Cancer is really asking us to first take care of ourselves deeply. And so you're probably holding space for a lot right now. And it's okay to be in your feelings and to breathe into them. And so when we think of the High Priestess as being connected to Cancer, we really feel this with her. She is the lunar feminine archetype of the tarot. She sits peacefully in meditation, and between her, the ocean is behind her, but between her and the ocean is a veil. And on the veil, there's pomegranates that are laid out in the shape of the tree of life. And then she's wearing a crown that displays the 3 main phases of the moon. We've got the waxing, the full, and the waning. And these represent the wisdom of the 3 main phases of a woman's life. Maiden, mother, crone, right? So she's coming home to herself, and she reminds us to do the same. Another card that we can use, this is what I call Cancer's soul growth card. This is the Chariot. So the Chariot also has connection to the moon. The Chariot has moon shoulder pads and has a star crown and is in a chariot that could also be like a crib. You can think like the baby here. It could also be like a vehicle. Cancer is also connected to your car. What's your relationship to your car, and what sense of security does that give you? So the Chariot, it symbolizes the sacred pause and the stillness of preparation before we go into the initiatory phase of the Fool's Journey, right? So this is the part where we're going into the underworld. The Chariot takes us from line 1 to line 2. And so it's here that the charioteer learns to align her willpower, not with force or ambition, but it's aligning it with an intuitive confidence. This is also a message that is coming through strongly right now. Again, softening your ambition at this time, trusting in your own intuition to guide you in the direction of your life's purpose, your life's vocation. This is part of the power of cardinal water, which is Cancer. So the Chariot speaks to the importance of getting still and listening. What is it that brings you a sense of fulfillment and joy? And how can you better offer your compassion and healing services to the world? The Chariot is also speaking to us of the importance of protecting our own psychic energy. And so as Cancer evolves, and right now we're all evolving through Cancer with this eclipse, we're learning how to lovingly protect our empathic nature through our gentle authority. And so the Chariot speaks to honoring of emotions, honoring of the past, our ancestors, by sensing the guidance needed to move forward. And this is on a journey towards wholeness. This is on a journey towards equality, justice, all of it. Because this is the cardinal sign that's taking us to the next cardinal sign, which is Libra, which is about justice. All the cardinal signs, this is what I call a soul pact. So we'll look at the cardinal signs together. But I want to talk a little bit more about this eclipse. So the solar eclipse, right, is when the moon comes in between the sun and earth. So when this happens, the moon blocks the sun rays from shining on the earth, right? So there's this moment where you can think of like all the lights go out and then they come back on. So essentially what this is doing is it's breaking up the auric field of the earth. And this allows for all kinds of spiritual debris to get cleared out. And so in some ways, it feels like, right, think of this like power outage. And then everything boots back up. And then you see things in the room. And it's almost like what I sense with the eclipse is like the room you're in, the lights go out and then the lights come back on and there's new objects in the room, or some objects have been taken away. So for some people, this can be a time where, I know for me during eclipse season, this has been when I've lost a job or when I've moved cities or something just like crazy has happened to completely shift the trajectory of my life, something unforeseen, right? But it's also been times where new relationships have emerged in my life all of a sudden, or new cosmic downloads about the direction I'm taking my life. So as the lights go off and come back on, can you be in that place of stillness, right? Can you be in your high priestess? So essentially, when we're thinking about the sun rays shining to the earth and then the moon blocks it out there for a moment, when I tune into this, when I tune into the eclipses, this moment when the sun is blacked out, any people that you know who have passed away in the last 6 months, this is often when they will leave and go back into space or out into the unknown, right? So there's a deep clearing out process. So if you have lost anyone, really connect with them on this eclipse. And I think this is coming through now during this eclipse season because it is the Cancer eclipse, which is very connected to family members, to grief, to the loss of a loved one. So Cancer, right, as a water sign, is connecting us to these emotional realms. And I've been hearing from a lot of people that they've had family members passing away since the start of Cancer season. And this is unique to Cancer, for sure, but it is also unique to eclipse season. It's not just because this is the Cancer eclipse, but this is a time, eclipses are times when a lot of people and animals leave the earth. And so I know my dear friend Katie Watkins, who is my Swansea, Wales best friend. I studied abroad there with her 10 years ago in 2009. And you may remember her from the show last year. Katie is a Cancer, and so we had her on during Cancer season. But Katie just posted on Instagram that she lost her grandmother right at the start of Cancer season. And so on June 23rd, she posted this gorgeous photo of her grandmother, and this is what she wrote about her. She said, "When it's time to say goodbye, it's hard to think of the right thing to say. What a life. What an absolute life. Military, 5 kids, abuse, joy, love, grief, satisfaction, cream sodas hidden in the closet, the cow pond, the end to an era, a matriarch gone. At least 28 people came from this woman, and I am one of them, and the only one to share her name. When I think of strength and that laugh, it's her. thinking of you and always holding your hand. Evelyn Lucille Colburn, 1937 to 2019. And so feeling into this, right, the matriarch of a family, at least 28 people came from this woman, Katie writes. This is Cancer right here. And so on today's episode, we send Evelyn love, and we have the opportunity to send love to all of the spirits of humans and animals that have passed away in the last 6 months. So at this time, let's go ahead. We'll bring our awareness to our bodies and to our breath, and we'll transition into a guided meditation. So start by taking a deep breath into the rib cage. Each astrological sign is connected to a different part of the body. The rib cage connects us to Cancer, so do the breast, so does the belly. All of these regions of the body are great to connect with. Connecting with the rib cage helps me really feel into the protective nature of Cancer. I like to place my right hand on my left ribs, my left hand on my right, so the arms are crossed over the body. And you can feel this sense of being cradled here. And so starting by coming home to yourself, just breathing in to the ribs and to all the organs that the ribs protect. Releasing the need to know. Releasing the need to push forward. And trusting that just by being here present with your breath is all that you need to be doing at this moment in time. So as we move through this eclipse season, it's a time for us to release anything that's not supporting us and to plant a seed of intention for deeper self-care. And while all of this is happening, there's also spirits that are leaving this plane. And so let's take a moment to connect to anyone that we know that might have passed away in the last 6 months. If you don't know anyone, you can also just tune into all of those souls. Just notice what you sense and what you feel. And so to all of those that have passed away in the last 6 months, during this eclipse, if you choose to leave, we send you off into the cosmos with so much love. Any hurt that you might be holding on to, or any responsibility that might be lingering, anything that might be keeping you here, we release you of that burden. We're sorry for any hurt or any injustices that you might have experienced, and we bow to you and thank you for your time here on this planet. So you can send those people off with love and light. And just as eclipses act as moments of release, they're also an energy vortex of new life. So just thinking about what is taking place in your life from what you're clearing, but we can also think of, in relationship to the collective, that there are a great new deal of spirits entering this world at this time, entering the auric field of this planet, that are really here to make some massive changes to the way this planet is being treated, our home, our mother, planet Earth. And so children who are choosing to incarnate within the next 6 months are all here with us now, entering in through this eclipse, observing and preparing themselves to be incredible caretakers and healers. These are the babies who will have North Node in Cancer. So can you take a moment to tune in to those brave souls that are entering in through this eclipse vortex? So in the same way that this is a time to honor those who have passed, it is also a time to honor anyone who is pregnant at this moment. Tuning into this eclipse, there's a great deal of babies that are being born during this time. So there might be some early pregnancies happening during the eclipse. So if you are pregnant or you know someone who is, there's a lot of excitement coming through with this new batch of humans. So know that. We're sending you all love. And anyone who also might be feeling grief around their relationship to motherhood or to their own mother, we're also sending love to that. So connecting to the mother within yourself, connecting to your mother and your mother's mother. We'll take one last deep inhale together. And exhale. Thank you for your willingness to go in there with that meditation. I know it was a bit more maybe intuitive or flowing, or also just might have brought up some stuff that you don't normally face. So thanks for doing this work and for showing up. This is all Cancer season medicine. So again, this eclipse, it's a time to soften your ambition. If you need to call out sick from work and take a day off to just be with yourself, I highly recommend it. I did that this past week. Write a letter to your ancestors, honor your grandmothers, release grief you're holding on to around family, home, mother, and take deep nourishing inhales into your rib cage, your breast, your belly, right? These are all your invitations at this time to really ground and come back to yourself. So I'd like to make a few announcements before we get into the rest of this week's episode. There's a Patreon for the show, patreon.com/cosmiccousins. You can make a monthly donation to the show. A little bit goes a long way. This is a one-human operation. It's just me behind the scenes. So my name is Jeff Hinshaw. If we haven't met before, thanks for being here. Welcome to the show. I am a full-time astrologer. I offer astrology readings. I also offer mentorships, one-on-one mentorships, and I offer classes as well. Right now, we're well underway with the 12-week Cosmic Cousins Soul-Centered Astrology journey. And this week, we have our Cancer gathering. We're actually going to be gathering during this eclipse energy, so I'm excited to connect with the students on that. This is what I actually really love, working with people long-term. So even though I do offer astrology readings, if you're wanting to deepen your connection to astrology, check out the mentorships on the page. I'd love to work with you. You can also leave some love if you've been listening to the show. I'm going to read some reviews today. I haven't done that in a while. Let me pull up the reviews. I've recently discovered this podcast, and I'm so glad that I did. I'm a tarot reader who loves to playfully geek out on astrology. Jeff does an amazing job educating listeners about several astrology topics. I feel like I've learned so much while having fun listening. I think the really special part of this podcast is Jeff. This podcast is a mirror of his own uniqueness, curiosity, and guts. There isn't a podcast out there like it because Jeff does what he uniquely wants to do. Hello, Aquarius. It's honestly really liberating and inspiring to hear a podcast like this where someone just goes for it and does their thing. Thank you, Jeff. I love your podcast. Thank you for your service to the community. I also love the Dorothy analysis parts. Love it. I'm a little embarrassed now. Next time, I definitely should read the review before I read it out loud because I didn't realize that was going to be so much about me. But I really do appreciate it. That was written by Haley EJ. Thank you, Haley, for your really kind words. And it is such an honor to be here for the community in this way. So thank you. And yeah, now that we have done the little announcements, we can go into the rest of this week's episode. And so what I want to talk about here is Cancer's connection to being the mother of the revolution, being this cardinal water energy. So let's first start with thinking about and honoring who we crowned Queen of Cancer last year. Our Queen of Cancer is Frida Kahlo. So our Queen of Cancer, Frida Kahlo, had an artistic vision that transformed deep felt grief into beauty. This is high vibe Cancer, taking hurt and grief, especially as related to family, home, and motherhood. So her work often explored themes of grief as related to miscarriages, while also honored her ancestors. And so she moved us forward towards beauty, Cardinal water, reviving and celebrating the indigenous traditions of ancient Mexico. And she also took other activists, and also children into her home during the Mexican Revolution. So all of this is reflecting the cardinal water fields of Cancer. So let's think of our other cardinal queens. We have Queen of Capricorn, Michelle Obama, Queen of Aries, Maya Angelou, and then Queen of Libra, Bell Hooks. Frida Kahlo, Michelle Obama, Maya Angelou, and Bell Hooks all in a room together. What are they talking about? They're talking about honoring our ancestors and moving us forward towards a rightful relationship, towards justice, towards equality, towards creating a future that is sustainable for future generations. So personality in the tarot for Cancer is Knight of Cups. This is reflecting cardinal water. Knights are cardinal, cups are water. So the Knight of Cups is giving that all of the cardinal signs will be the knights, right? So Knight of Cups is Cancer. So the Knight of Cups, it delivers emotion, connection, spirit, reflection, romance. Knight of Cups offers an emotional approach to action. All of the knights, all of the cardinal signs are about action. Cardinal signs initiate seasons. So coming through the water is offering us an emotional approach to action. Frida Kahlo. There's a confidence here with the emotion. And so if you're looking at the Knight of Cups out of the four knights is the one that is not rushing in on the horse, is kind of prancing in. There's like a softness to it and is holding the cup forward. And so then this knight holds the powerful force to invite you in to its home, to offer you a cup that's going to cleanse. So it's being in this empowered space where, as we were talking about before, where we're softening our ambition through compassion, through love. And when we learn to harness our watery, emotional, and psychic energy, we can begin to move forward. And so we feel this so much right now. Really, if you think about, so some other famous Cancers, let's talk about some other famous Cancers. Elizabeth Warren, Cancer's sun, is running for President of the United States. Also, Marianne Williamson is also a Cancer sun. We'll get into more of these women that are running for office on the next episode because we're going to be looking at the Cancer Capricorn polarity, and this is such a great example of this because a lot of them have cardinal energy. Kamala Harris is also a Libra sun, Aries moon. So both cardinal signs, right? Marianne Williamson, Cancer sun, Capricorn moon, all cardinal going on here. Cardinal signs are very political. They're very activist related, rightful relationship, right? And so when we have this Cancer energy coming in with the water, it feels nurturing. It feels caring. It's emotional. So some other famous Cancers, we have Malala, Nelson Mandela, the Dalai Lama, Princess Diana. And so when we think of many of these people who are Cancer, they are in some way nurturing the revolution. So mothers of the revolution is something that we can think of with Cancer, which brings me to the next segment of our show, where we are going to honor the life of legendary Cancer, Sylvia Rivera. So this past weekend, New York City hosted World Pride, and millions of people gathered to commemorate the 50th anniversary of Stonewall riot. And what was really special about this is that the cosmos gifted us an incredible cosmic alignment because the moon was in Gemini all weekend. And this is the exact combo of activist Sylvia Rivera, Cancer Sun, Gemini Moon. So let's talk a little bit about Sylvia. So Sylvia, for one, was born on July 2nd, 1951, and this is literally the day of the eclipse this year, July 2nd. So we are eclipsing in a very Sylvia Rivera feel right now, which is ushering in a new paradigm for equality. And it's quite amazing to think that on this eclipse, it's Sylvia's birthday. It's also the commemoration of the 50th year of the Stonewall riots. Without the Stonewall riots, we wouldn't have had gay pride. This is where it started off from, this revolting that happened. So to rewind a little bit, Sylvia Rivera was an incredible Latina American gay liberation and transgender rights activist. She was prominent in the United States as a whole, but was most significant for her work in New York City. So she was a founding member of STAR and also Gay Liberation Front, and formed alliances with many other civil rights activists in New York City, including the Black Panther movement. So a little bit about Sylvia Rivera. She was born and raised in New York City and lived most of her life in or near the city, and she was of Puerto Rican and Venezuela descent. She was abandoned by her birth father, Jose Rivera, early in her life and became an orphan after her mother committed suicide when Rivera was only 3 years old. Rivera was then raised by her Venezuelan grandmother, who disapproved of Rivera's effeminate behavior, particularly after Rivera began to wear makeup in 4th grade. And so as a result, Rivera began living on the streets at the age of 11 and worked as a child prostitute. She was taken in by the local community of drag queens who gave her her name, Sylvia. And so Rivera's activism began in 1970 after she joined the Gay Activist Alliance at the age of 18 years old, where she fought for not only the rights of gay people, but also the inclusion of drag queens like herself in the movement. And so with her close friend, Marsha P. Johnson, Rivera co-founded the STAR, which is Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries, which was a group dedicating to helping homeless young drag queens, gay youth, and trans women find housing. So right here, we're even seeing this ability to be the mother for the community. And so this idea of family is changing for a lot of people, especially in the queer community. It does not necessarily have to be your birth family, although we do see the grief that Sylvia had in relationship to her birth family. And so her experiences made her more focused on advocacy that was related to home and family issues as a Cancer. In her view, mainstream society and the assimilationist sectors of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender communities were being left behind. And so she was creating a home for these individuals. And so for these reasons, Rivera projected her voice to give her community power. She fought for herself, but most importantly for the rights of people of color and low-income LGBT people. And as someone who suffered from systematic poverty and racism, Rivera used her voice for unity, sharing her stories, sharing her grief and her pain and her struggles to show her community that they're not alone. And so she amplified the voices of the most vulnerable members of the gay community that were being left behind: drag queens, homeless youth, gay inmates in prison and jail, and transgender people. So her story and her legacy as being a part of the Stonewall riots. So if you don't know about the Stonewall riots, I'll just tell you a little bit about them. So the Stonewall Inn is in the West Village in New York City. It's located at 51 Christopher Street, and it's right in the heart of what was the gay neighborhood in the 60s and 70s. And so here at the Stonewall Inn, there was a lot of prejudice against gay people at this time. And there was a series of spontaneous, violent demonstrations by members of the gay community, and it was against a police raid that began in the early morning hours of June 28th, 1969. And so that was exactly 50 years ago. And so the Stonewall riots are widely considered to constitute the most important event that's leading to the gay liberation movement today and the modern fight for LGBT rights in the United States. So this is literally the doula of the revolution here in this moment. And so Sylvia Rivera, as a Cancer, and is one of the individuals who is reportedly said to be one of the first to throw a glass to start the riots, although I've also found some other research that said that that might not be true. But either way, it doesn't matter. Sylvia Rivera still had a very prominent role in this era. The revolution, right? The doula of the revolution. But what also I think is interesting to consider is that there are many who say that this revolution was sparked out of deep grief around the loss of legendary Judy Garland. And so Judy Garland, we talked about during Gemini season, is a Gemini sun, but is also a Cancer rising. So right here, we're feeling into Judy Garland's Cancer rising energy as being the mother of the revolution, but in a rising way. Sun is the light that you're shining. Rising is what you're waking up to. And so I'm going to go ahead and predict right now that Judy Garland will be Queen of Cancer rising, and Sylvia Rivera will be Queer of Cancer. I'd like to do Queers of the Zodiac. I'd also like to do Queen of Rising Signs of the Moon Signs, Kings of the Zodiac at some point. But I went to a bar on Friday night, which was June 28th, with a friend. We wanted to commemorate the 50th anniversary of Stonewall, and we were kind of bummed that we weren't in New York City for World Pride. And so we went and got a drink, and so we went to our neighborhood bar, which is Akbar, and inside of Akbar, they had this beautiful display to Judy Garland, and on the ceiling, they actually created this newspaper, and so I took a picture of it. It says, Daily News, Judy Garland dies in London, husband finds body in home. And then there were all these bricks hanging from the ceiling, and then there was a photo of Judy Garland with lights around it. So Judy Garland, Cancer rising, in some way is said to have sparked the revolution because of a lot of the grief and anger and sadness that the LGBT community was feeling that week, because she passed away. I wrote it down here. She passed away on June 22nd, 1969, and then the Stonewall riot was June 28th, 1969. And so either way, honoring Judy Garland's life, we're honoring Sylvia Rivera, Martha P. Johnson, and all of the fierce transgender women of color who led the way as doulas of the revolution for the LGBT community. So Cancer season and Cancers remind us to honor the legacy of our ancestors and our past as we intuitively step forward to protect our loved ones and family, whether that family is blood related or not. And so for the LGBTQ community and for many of us in the New Age world, family takes on a vastly different meaning. And so this is just a reminder to just express gratitude for the people in your life that are family and who love you unconditionally for who you are. Here's a quote that I have from Sylvia Rivera that I like. We have to be visible. We should not be ashamed of who we are. We have to show the world that we are numerous. There are many of us out there. And let's listen to a little clip so that we can feel into Sylvia Rivera's spirit through the power of her voice.
We have to stand up and speak for ourselves. We have to fight for ourselves. We saved their lives. We were the front liners of the so-called 1969 rebellion of the Stonewall.
Sylvia Rivera died during the dawn hours of February 19, 2002 at St. Vincent Hospital. Sylvia Rivera will go on to be remembered as an incredible activist and leader for the transgender community, for the LGBT community. She was a Cancer sun, a nurturing little girl, in her neighbor's backyard, Gemini moon, hello, the West Village, coming into her feminine power, Taurus rising, a nurturing little girl in her neighbor's backyard, coming into her feminine power. Boom, boom, boom. And also, just on a cool note, New York City just announced that they will be putting up a statue of Martha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera together, and it will be the world's first permanent public monument honoring transgender women. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning into the show. Cancer season, to be sure, has me feeling really nostalgic and emotional, and I think this could be a cool time to talk about the name of the show, since Cancer is about family. And so the name Cosmic Cousins is a name I came up with because I did not grow up in a big family, and I didn't have any cousins growing up, and I always wanted them. And so as we expand into the age of Aquarius, and as Pluto enters Aquarius in 2024, we're going to really be continually invited to use technology, to use social media, to connect with people around the globe. And we're going to be invited to truly think of each other as family. And so I hope that I can continue to be like a mother or like a parent to you on your astrology journey. My Venus is in Capricorn, which is opposite Cancer, so I put a lot of the hard work into the show. It's part of my creative process, but Cancer is reminding me to be softer and more intuitive with it. So as we transition to having only 2 episodes a month, following the moon cycle, as opposed to the previous seasons where they were released on Wednesdays every week, this is all a part of the Cancer North Node invitation. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's not so much thank you for being here. It's thank you for being a part of this Cosmic Cousins family. I love you from the bottom of my heart. And so take sweet care, cousins. And remember, deep breaths.